Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, I'll be tackling the question of can brutes in Halo 3 still use UNSC weapons? So, that question came up because back in the day, in the old Halo 2 days, in campaign there were a couple missions like Uprising or High Charity where you could actually see brutes use UNSC weapons. More specifically, the shotgun. I think they only exclusively ever used the shotgun in Halo 2. I don't recall if they ever used any other UNSC weapons, but definitely the shotgun. Now, in that same video back in the day where I showed brutes using the shotgun, we also covered what other weapons brutes can use, UNSC weapons that is, and they could use quite a few actually. In fact, they often hold their weapons sideways and shoot them sideways, but in that video, brutes cannot hold like rocket launchers or magnums. But today we'll be tackling it in Halo 3, and see if anything's changed from Halo 2, if brutes can still even hold UNSC weapons, or if they can, which ones they can hold. So, without further ado, I just had to mod myself to completely play as a brute, to be a brute entirely. It's not like a model swap or anything. I am literally playing as a brute. So, as a brute, I put all the UNSC weapons here, and we'll see which ones a brute can actually hold, and use for that matter. Because sometimes you may be able to pick up a weapon, but not necessarily use it. So, starting with the assault rifle, the brute can indeed pick it up, and the brute can indeed fire it. Interestingly enough, the brute fires the assault rifle one-handed, and unfortunately there's no reload animations, it seems, in third person at least. Because I did reload there, but you couldn't tell because the brute doesn't have the animations for reloading UNSC weapons. But the brute can nonetheless pick up the battle rifle as well, and the shotgun, and fire that. It does, you can see like it pumping the shotgun, but it doesn't, there's no reload animation either. And then next up we have the sniper rifle. Brute holds the sniper rifle pretty well, actually, pretty correctly. Still no reload animation though later, but it actually looks kind of cool, the brute using the sniper rifle. We never see brutes use snipers at all, either beam rifle or UNSC snipers. So it's kind of interesting to see them hold one. But of course, like I said, it does have the animations to pick up these UNSC weapons, which is what it needs to be to pick up any weapon. It has to have the right animations to support it. If it doesn't, then you can't pick it up or even fire it. But in this case, the brute does have the animations, just not the reload animations. I mean, you can reload as the brute, you just can't see it. Now, interestingly enough, with the SMG, the brute has to fire it two-handed. It's like a two-handed weapon for the brute, whereas the assault rifle, the brute could fire one-handed. And unfortunately, this question also came up in a video recently, or on my Discord, I think, but brutes cannot dual-wield weapons in Halo 3. You get the option to dual-wield if you're playing as a brute, but if you actually try to, it doesn't work. It actually kind of breaks their like overall animation, and like it breaks your weapon inventory too, and it just messes everything up if you try to dual wield. And the more you keep like pressing the button to dual wield, the more messed up it gets. So even though like the SMG and Magnum are dual wieldable weapons, nothing will happen. Well, nothing correct will happen if you try to dual wield them. But you know, the brute can fire both just fine. It's just sometimes like the brute fires the Magnum one-handed, which makes sense, although I think the brute's hands are actually too big to hold the Magnum, at least it should be, but it does work. And I don't know why the SMG has to be like a two-handed weapon, whereas other weapons like the assault rifle is one-handed for the brute. Because the SMG is so tiny in the brute's hands that to use both hands is just weird. But anyways, moving right along, the rocket launcher works fine. The brute holds it correctly, its pose and everything. After the rocket launcher, we have the Spartan Laser. These are all weapons that we've never seen brutes use in campaign before. I don't want to see this 100%, but I'm pretty sure brutes in Halo 3 campaign never use any UNSC weapons at all at any point. At least none that I can recall. Now, the one UNSC weapon that the brutes have that hold weird is the machine gun turret. You can see like the hands don't quite, at certain angles the hands don't quite hold the turret correctly. It's not as bad as when the civilian, the dock worker, holds a machine gun turret or a plasma cannon, but it's still, you know, a little off. And then when you detach it, it's still kind of weird as well. First of all, like the brute's pointing upwards, but the bullets fire straight out. So like you're basically curving the bullets, so to speak. But you know, it still functions correctly. And this is more or less the same pose that it's like Sergeant Johnson would use when you trick him into holding a turret, using like a little trick to kill Johnson, and then when he gets back up, he picks up a turret. Strangely enough, though, the Brute does hold the missile pod correct, unlike the machine gun turret. So the missile pod is a little bit different. Now, the remaining two weapons I'll be testing is the Flamethrower and the golf club. So starting with the Flamethrower. The Flamethrower, just like the machine gun turret, the Brute holds pointing upwards. But then when the Brute fires it, the fire kind of like curves and fires straight out, just like the machine gun turret. And this is also the exact same pose that Marines like Sergeant Johnson would use when holding the Flamethrower or machine gun turret in campaign. So, just a little weird thing with the animation there. I guess the Brutes weren't meant to hold two-handed weapons like that, but it still works. They technically can hold it and use it. As for the golf club, not surprisingly, the Brute can also hold the golf club. In fact, when a Brute holds a golf club, he also gains that charging animation that he does with the gravity hammer, which gives him a speed boost too. That animation is the one you see when Brutes charge at you in campaign. So this is actually like their default animation, the gravity hammer. Anytime a Brute holds a gravity hammer and starts running forward, they switch to this charging animation and get a small speed boost. Where if you switch to another weapon, they lose the speed boost. And with the golf club, it gets all the same properties as the gravity hammer. It could still charge just fine and get the speed boost just fine with the golf club, which also looks pretty hilarious too. But yeah, the golf club is basically completely interchangeable with the gravity hammer in this case. But yeah, so there you guys have it. That is all the UNSC weapons that the Brute can use, which is all of them. It's actually an improvement over Halo 2. In Halo 2, the Brutes could hold most of them, but not all of them. But in Halo 3, the Brutes can hold all of them, but they just can't dual wield like the SMG and Magnum. But yeah, so hopefully you guys did find this to be interesting, and if you did, make sure to leave a like. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Anything else you want me to check out or look into, just let me know. But other than that, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!